I have received many requests to make a tutorial on how to create a successful fashion brand. Having worked with both national and international brands, I have observed a certain branding process used by big fashion brands, but unfortunately, it is kept a secret.
Okay.
So, in this series of how to make a successful fashion brand, I would glide you through the branding process of the best fashion brands. And once you know it, you can do it. Now, what is wrong with this image? Yeah, you got it right. So there is a different company and there is a different company logo. And we all can understand and recognize this difference just by two symbols of two different companies. Now we need to investigate how these companies were able to make such strong branding. Now, to understand what is a brand, we need to first understand what are the main objectives of a company. Now, a company is made for consumers. So now what they want to do is first, they want to get noticed by consumer. So there are a lot of products. How do you get noticed? Then they also want to reach out to them to sell their product. Once somebody has sold something to a consumer, they want to sell it again. That means they need to form a relationship. They also want to stand out from others. They need to have a distinctive personality. And if everything goes right, they want the consumer to bring more consumer. Basically, they want them to promote them. Now, selling goods and services to a consumer only fulfills a need, which is short-lived. So, just selling a product is not effective enough to create a long-lasting impression in the mind of the consumer. For example, this is a black shoe, and maybe it is a comfortable sports shoe which can help you in going for your morning walk, but it is not going to create a long lasting impression of this black shoe and it is not also distinct compared to this black shoe which has a brand on it which makes it distinct from other. Also, it adds on a promise that okay, it is coming from a world-class company. Now, to make sense of modern branding, we need to investigate its origin and evolution from history to now. Brand word is derived from the word brander, a word from ancient Norse, which were North medieval Germanic group. To brander meant to burn. 1100 years ago, it was called to a burning wood. Almost 720 years ago, a wooden torch was called a brand. And 520 years ago, people started marking their kettles. They started burning their identification mark on the kettles, and that was called as a brand. So in 1820, which saw the rise of mass production and industrial revolution, manufacturers started doing a lot of production and shipment of their products to new markets. Now at this point of time, lot of manufacturers were making similar product, so identification mark became necessary. Now, especially wine was required to a bigger consumer market. So all the wine producers, they started burning their mark into the crates and cases of goods to distinguish themselves from other producers. This was the first time when consumers had lots and lots of options. So there were 50 different kind of wines available for the first time in front of the consumer. So what consumers started feeling was there were certain products that was in high quality and there were certain products which did not have that high quality. So consumers started distinguishing between qualities of different products. Now products that were perceived as high and consistent quality could demand a higher price. Now at this point of time, that whole identification mark but also as a symbol of quality. Now this is how the whole evolution of brand happened, from identification mark to quality symbol. Now in 1870, since a lot of companies were engaged in making similar products, market became very confusing. So trademark registration was introduced to help brands to keep their product discreet. Now there were less copying and less fakes that were available after the trademark registration happened. Now manufacturer now started focusing on creating exclusive product with no fear of copying. It also shifted their focus on creating high quality products rather than just manufacturing. Now with better products, the brand started talking about the functional benefits of their products. Like this Coca-Cola ad, which talks about the function that Coca-Cola lightens the day's worry. So if you have it and you are fatigued, this is going to take that thing away. So this was a very, very functional kind of benefit that Coca-Cola was talking about. Now customers were very attracted to branded products because of their superior perception. So there are 15 kind of products available, only 5 were branded, which came with a kind of promise. So customers were attracted to them, and brands now were becoming crucial for manufacturers. Now the earliest form of branding is known as trademark advertising. In 1900, trademark advertising was introduced by James Walter Thompson. Now it was to promote a product with a unique name, symbol and identity. So companies were not just putting their company name on it, they started designing the name, the way the company would be written, the symbol that would be made, all that thing they started designing, and this is how they started promoting their stuff. Ever since then, it has become a standard practice to promote products with the help of jingles, logos, and slogans. 1928 is yet another major year in the evolutionary process of brands. Edward Bernays, the nephew of legendary psychologist Sigmund Freud, published a book that transformed the idea of branding for persuading masses, and that's what companies wanted, to reach out to more masses and to accept their product. So in his iconic book Propaganda, he argued that by associating products with ideas, large number of people could be persuaded to change their behavior. Now brands quickly picked this insight and started adding ideas with the product in their advertisement to attract larger audience. For example, this is Coca-Cola's 1930s ad, where they have added an idea of your thirst takes wind. Now they are not talking about the functional benefit, but they are adding a human touch to the promotion of the idea. These military men, that Coke is their best friend, so these were new ideas that were incorporated with the product for the promotion of it. Now 1950s again was a major year because television came in and people started using television for mass broadcasting and reaching out to newer consumers. And by 1960s, marketers were using mass media to associate brands with emotional benefit rather than functional ones. Like this Kent ad, they are saying more scientists and educators smoke this cigarette. So they started associating their products with higher status people. Advertisement also started showing how their brand would make you more desirable. These t-shirts, they will get you girls around. All companies started doing the same. But in 1984, the idea of branding was again transformed by this company. So guess which one? It is Apple. Apple released their first iconic television ad in 1984, and this was a conceptualized ad without the product. It was like a teaser.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the information purification directives. We have created for the first time in all history a garden of pure ideology. Remorse. Purification of remorse is more powerful. We are one people. Our shall talk themselves to death and confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
In 1988, Nike released their first television ad where they only focused on social messaging. They did not showcase their product at all. So this style of campaign was actually strengthening their brand character. They were communicating with the consumer that what they actually believe in. So Nike's first advertisement addressed ageism when it featured 80-year-old Bay Area icon Walter Stagg, who ran 62,000 miles in his lifetime. Apple and Nike were communicating their corporate identity and brand purpose with customers using social messaging and thought-provoking promotions. Now, this was way different than just promoting the product and creating small-time ads. They were actually trying to talk about what their brand purpose was. This concept really took off well with the industry, and industry also started showcasing their brand purpose with the consumer. How the whole brand identity evolution happened so far? First of all, it was identification mark, then it became quality symbol, then it became functional benefit symbol, then it became emotional symbol, and now it was going more towards the brand purpose. So until a couple of years back, the brand purpose was the most essential part of the brand, and Simon Sinek, the marketing mogul, explained the purpose of the brand clearly in his TED Talk.
Why is Apple so innovative? Year after year after year after year, they're more innovative than all their competition. It's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. People don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Simon makes it very clear that brand purpose of any modern brand is the core belief, the calling. So he puts why the brand is here, why you are doing something that needs to be defined before what product you would be creating. So even if you have a good product, don't start a brand, but first understand why you're making that product. Why are you creating that brand? So brand purpose for him is why, or what is the belief of the brand. The why or belief needs to be clear at the beginning of any brand to start. Now, brand which are based on why versus brand which are based on just the product. Now, these brands are not sustainable for very long. So the warning was brand should not be started based on an innovative product. You first have to understand why are you making it, and then you steer your innovations from the brand purpose and why you are making it. Now for a long time, modern brands were following the why or the belief context as their brand purpose, but this core belief as brand purpose was changed again. Now Seth Godin, the modern marketing guru, rationalize the context of brand purpose again.
Simon is brilliant as always, and understanding your why is critical, but it's also usually awfully general. My why is because I need to make a living. My why is because the beach is too full. My why is I want to feel fulfilled by doing this work. Which leads to the next question. Well, what am I going to do now? Which is, how do I know if I'm doing a good job? Which is, what is this all for? And so for me, it begins with seeing who we seek to serve and figuring out how to make things better for them. Not for me, but for them. Because if I can make things better for them, then I'll get a chance to do it again. And if I can keep doing it, making things better, weaving things together, earning trust, turning attention into a promise and that promise into a brand that matters, then regardless of what I do for a living, regardless of what my why is, my practice is a professional one because I'm not leaving behind victims. Instead, I'm opening the door for people to do better. So what we get the chance to do is make stuff we're proud of. Can we invent things that will make things better? Because that's how we change the world for the better. Make things better by making better things.
Seth Godin argues that purpose of any brand should be the who, that is the consumer. Brands should be making products inspired by the consumer lifestyle and aspiration. So for him, the brand purpose is who, or the empathy. If brands are able to understand a particular client and their needs and lifestyle, those brands are going to survive longer. Now, what he's saying is don't try to make a product and start looking for customers to buy it. Instead, you go and understand customers, understand their lifestyle, and then you create a product. Now, he says the who needs to be clear at the beginning of any brand. This infographic showcases the overall evolution of brands. So, modern brands are purpose driven, not product driven, purpose driven, and all the innovations happens through the purpose. And then all this purpose and innovation happens for the consumer. Now, modern brands are also listening. They are continuously listening to the consumer. They are having social media connections. They are always looking for feedback. They are transparent with the consumer, and they also make sure that their consumer get the best experience. So on the bottom end also we have the consumer. So if you really see the top and the bottom end, it is all coming from the consumer and understanding the lifestyle. All modern brands, their brand purpose is based on empathy. Walter Randall said, products are made in the factory, but brands are created in the mind. So don't become a product manufacturer, but first of all, create a brand in your head. In this chapter, we got to know the context of a brand and how it impacts the relationship between a company and consumer. Now, but how you would make a brand for yourself, what are the different tools and strategies that big fashion brand follows, we will discuss that in part 2 of the series. So in chapter 2, you will learn tools and techniques to make a powerful brand and case studies of successful fashion brands. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel